We have a very special guest in studio today. He is the CEO of Asymmetric Solutions, the great and powerful Keith Waldrop. Welcome to the show.
I don't know about all that, but yeah.
Welcome. We're pumped to have you on.
Yeah, exactly. We're we're excited. Like we were just saying before the show. I've been seeing you around here for a while, and I just haven't really. We've talked a little bit, but I'm excited to really kind of get in here and dig into your story. Just because looking at your resume here, it's crazy. You've definitely lived a crazy life, sir.
Thanks. Yeah. I tell people all the time I look good on paper, but it's a little bit different.
Yeah, but I guess you're a combat veteran. Where did this all start for you? Like, did you always want to be like a soldier growing up, or like where did it all begin?
Yeah, so I mean, from as early as I can remember, all I ever wanted to be was a commando. I never had any dreams of college and going and getting a big education. I grew up in a third generation construction family right here in southern Missouri. Always liked working with my hands, liked hard work. Grew up working the farms, running cattle and bucking hay and alfalfa and all that good stuff. And I wasn't doing that. I was running a ditch and was always really intrigued and just drawn to military movies and history. And, I wasn't a history buff like in school or anything, but war specifically and military always interested me. And I always just thought those guys were, the shit.
Yeah.
And, so that was always the plan, was I was going to at least go do my 4 years, serve my country. I originally was going to join the Army. I was the kid that had VHS tapes at home that had Navy SEAL training and Army Ranger training and Marine Corps training. I had all of them, the whole VHS stack, and I'd watch them all and, determine which way I was going to go. And, I got those VHSs, I think, when I was 13. I got them for Christmas. I'd ask for them and, just watch them all the time, determine what I was going to be, what I was going to do. So I always wanted to be that, and then I made the decision based off those tapes and Hollywood movies and that I was going to go try to be an Army Ranger and then go the Green Beret route and do that whole thing. And then 9/11 happened. So I was already talking to an Army recruiter.
And how old were you when 9/11 happened?
17.
Okay, wow. Yeah.
So and I was the youngest one in my class. I was graduated. Finished up high school, and I was already set to go join the Army. And when 9/11 happened, the Army wasn't going to be able to get me out until a few months after. And the Marine recruiter was there, because right after 9/11, I immediately called the recruiter. It's like, what's the deal? Like, can I get out? I was super pumped,
Yeah.
All right.
Ready to roll.
Shit's real.
Yeah.
All right. Time to, 17-year-old kid thought I was tough as shit.
Yeah.
I look at pictures. I mean, like I was a little baby, but
Yeah.
I thought I was tough.
Sure.
Anyways, I ended up chatting with the Marine recruiter, and the Marine recruiter's like, "I'll get you out now." I'm like, "You don't need to be a Ranger. Marines are Marines, and go that direction, So I ended up switching gears, join the Marine Corps, and then, after getting through all my basic training and MCT/SOI and all that stuff, up trying out for Force Recon, and then made it into the reconnaissance community, which was the Marine Special Operations capability.
So it's like the Marines version of.
There's the Marines version
Raiders.
of Green Berets and SEALs and all that stuff. So that's what Force Recon was in the Marine Corps at that time. And Force Recon still exists today, but now we got the Raiders. And I can explain that a little bit later what the difference is. But so anyways, yeah, it's all I ever wanted to be. And then 9/11 just made it happen faster, because I was going to originally take, a few months and hang out and do life a little bit and then take off and go do my time for my country and then come back and go back to doing construction or whatever. That was the plan, or maybe come back to construction, but I wanted to be a commando for at least a period of time and go experience that.
Wow.
How long were you in for?
14 and a half years.
Okay.
Okay, so you go into the Marines. And go through your basic training. Then how soon after are you deployed?
So because I took the Recon route, the pipeline for that is pretty extensive. So I didn't get in the mix until OAF 2. So I missed the invasion. And then early 2003, late 2003, got our first deployment. So I ended up being stationed at 3rd Recon Battalion in Okinawa, Japan, which was the last reconnaissance unit to get in the Iraq rotations. And because I was a roper, which is when you're preparing to go through the pipeline after you pass selection to go be a recon Marine, I was a roper for 3 months waiting for my school seat. Once you go through what's called basic reconnaissance course, which is your ass kicker course to become 0321, which is the numerical designator for Recon. That's 3 months long. And then once you finish that, then you go to SEER school, survival, escape, resistance, and evasion training. That's where you
Throw you out in the woods.
they throw you out in the woods and no food and water. You learn how to evade the enemy and stuff because of the job that now you have in the Marine Corps, because you get compromised or whatever. Then you go to jump school and dive school and all those things. So the pipeline's long. It ends up being about 1.5 years if you stay in the full pipeline. I did SEER and then I did jump and then did shooting package and some other stuff and then was able to jump in a team that was deploying and then got my first pump then. So it was Fallujah 2 time frame. So the initial push into Fallujah, if you guys know, Fallujah 1, they actually only made it halfway in the city and then they got pushed back out. And Fallujah 2 was whenever we came in, and that's where we were stationed at. That's where we flew into country. That was Camp Fallujah, and did all my operations right there in Fallujah and Zidon surrounding areas.
I think those are the premises of Jocko Willing's books, I believe.
Yeah,
is that
area,
time
frame. Yep. Yeah. So it was. And as everybody knows, the Iraq War, that was the bloodiest battle of all of the Iraq War with Fallujah deal. And we had recon teams that supplemented guys in the city, but our mission was external to the city. So we were doing point targeting on high value targets that would squirted out of the city, and we'd have target packages sent to us of saying, bad guy X squirted out here and at this location. So we were hitting targets all around as the push was going through.
Wow.
And stuff.
Wow.
Damn, so you've seen a lot of combat.
I did a lot of deployments. I mean, I've seen some, and some have seen more. I did 7 total deployments throughout my time in. At 7 years, 21 days of total overseas time.
Wow.
Between Iraq, Afghanistan, Philippines, and then a little bit of time in South America on counter FARC stuff in Colombia.
I mean, it's out there. You see a lot of stuff like you were mentioning the tapes on the training for the SEALs and the Raiders. Is the training or for Rangers, is the training that you went through very similar to kind of the stuff that you see on TV for those things?
Yeah, so the training also like I said, Force Recon was the original, Force Recon was the original special operations capability for the Marine Corps. They still exist today, and they still are a special operations capable unit. Excuse me. But what distinguishes the difference in what's called true special operations versus a special operations capability is they fall under SOCOM command. So in the Navy, once a guy becomes a SEAL, the Navy no longer owns him. At that point, SOCOM, Special Operations Command, owns him. He's now in control of his missions, his destiny, his future, right? Same thing for Green Berets and Rangers. Once they make it into those units, they cut over to SOCOM. SOCOM is their command and control. Air Force, Pararescue, and CCT, same thing. In the Marine Corps, the Raiders are now the SOCOM unit in the Marine Corps. Once you become a Raider, which is what, after 6 years of being a Recon/Force Recon, then I rolled over and became a Raider and spent the rest of my time as a Raider. But I was also one of the plank holders that stood up the Raider community in the Marine Corps. So I was one of the first Raiders with the group of Raiders that started the Raider community.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
OG.
But yeah.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah. But to answer your question, all SOCOM units and selection processes have minimum standards that are required across the spectrum. So they're standardized. The Navy tweaks it a little bit for the SEALs. The Army tweaks it a little bit for the Green Berets and the Rangers. Marine Corps tweaks a little bit, but the minimum standards, the psychological screening standards, and the physical standards are the same. The biggest difference in all the selection processes, for the most part, is really the amount of water that is included in the selections.
Okay.
So like Rangers, they don't do anything besides just a standard pool qual, and they got to get a minimum qual. I don't even know what the minimum standard is for them, but they basically do it in the water, make sure they can swim and they can do basic stuff in the water. Green Berets do a little bit, not much so, same thing. CC2 doesn't do much at all, standard base pool qual, but Pararescue, SEALs, and Raiders live in the fucking water.
Yeah.
Really?
and
I've seen all those videos and stuff of, the selection or Hell Week of the Navy SEALs. Where
buds.
Buds, that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Where they're laying on the beach or do all the stuff in the sand. And
so you do all that stuff. So a lot of people don't know this, but until the Raider community was stood up, Recon/Force Recon, BRC, Basic Reconnaissance Course, was on Coronado with the SEAL training.
Really?
So literally, like when I went through BRC, my barracks was on as you're standing in front of the chow hall.
Yeah.
If you look at the building to the left, that was all your Recon/Force Recon students going through BRC. And then you look at the right building, this across the sidewalk, that was the SEAL Buds training. So it literally was, if we were in the pool, they were on the land. If they were in the pool, we were on the land. The old course, the beach, same thing. If we were at the beach, so the training and the screening and the requirements were the exact same, almost.
And if you haven't been to Coronado, it's badass. I mean, they've got. I mean, it's a Hotel del Coronado is a beautiful hotel. I mean, it's a great little like island off of San Diego that they got bars and all that. And like while you're there, you can be walking on the beach and you see these special forces guys getting their fucking ass kicked while you're
carrying boats and shit.
Like there's a dog beach. There's a dog beach on the northwest corner of Coronado Island. And you can be sitting there playing with your dogs and you see, and next thing you know, you got helicopters and shit just flying over. You're seeing these guys getting their asses kicked. Yeah. I was like, man, this is fucking nuts.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
While you're just playing with your dog.
Yeah. So on the beach.
So long answer to your simple question. The training is very similar. The standardized baseline requirements are the same for all SOF units. You know, you have to make minimum GT scores, which is brain power. And then there's minimum physical standards and academic standards. And then each independent component, Navy, Army, Marine Corps, Air Force, tweaks it a little bit to make it their own. But they're very similar.
What's the tweak? What's the tweak for the Raiders?
So like buds, like you just said, Hell Week.
Yeah,
they're Hell Weeks in the water. You know, your patrol phase for Recon and the Raider communities is like the Hell Week for, you know, those cats. It's a week of no sleep, very minimal sleep, lots of weight, lots of movements, just breaking you off physically and mentally, trying to get you to quit during that time frame. So they could very easily have a Hell Week in the water on the beach. Instead, they do it on the land during patrol phase. So that's what they decided to do.
Yeah.
The SEALs decided to make it in the water. You know, PJs, they do it in the water.
Yeah.
The rest of you guys do it in the water. So the tweaks are like that. It'll be, and what's funny is because some of the selection stuff that's put out there, and it tweaks, every course is a little bit different. You know, the cadre will make this a little bit harder, or some policy or procedural change, or some directive will come down where they have to modify this or modify that. So really the cadre that are part of the selection team during the time frame in which you take selection, a lot of times determines how terrible or not so terrible your experience is. So there's standardized criteria that gets tweaked officially. And there's things that are done throughout the night and throughout the days that are cadre specific. Maybe the last class only did a 22-mile escape and evasion run, you know, with 85 pounds on their back after 2 days of damn minimal sleep and food. While this class, because a new cadre member came in, decided that we need to make it 3 days, no sleep, no food, and let's go 25 miles instead of 23.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of stuff.
Now, because you're on the reconnaissance side and then became a Raider, did you have to go through all the standardized stuff to be on the reconnaissance side, and then you just kind of roll into the Raiders, or did you have to then go through all that training to be a Raider?
So all the training overlaps. So even if you were to get out of the Marine Corps, no longer be a Raider, and then go try out to be a Green Beret, which used to be a really common thing, especially before the Raider community stood up, and Force Recon was it, because Green Berets fell under SOCOM, and Force Recon was standardized Marine Corps command. Jump school, dive school, SEAL school, all of the schools you go to, all the skill sets in that, they just carry over. You don't have to do them all over again. Gotcha. Everybody goes to the same kind of schools.
Gotcha.
Got it.
So
this might be a stupid question, but what's the difference between an Army Ranger and a Green Beret? Are they both like branch? I mean, so they're both SOCOM units.
Yes, they both under SOCOM. So I'm not a Green Beret, and I'm not a Rangers, but I will tell you what I know about them without stepping on anybody's toes, because that's not my community. But the Rangers are a direct support asset to Tier 1 and a Tier 1 asset, and utilize the Tier 1 asset on a need-to basis. So we joke, you know, like Rangers are the only SOCOM unit you can be 19 years old and be considered a Tier 1 asset.
Okay.
So they're an advanced infantry unit that Ranger school is extremely hard. Selection process is really hard. The lifestyle in that battalion is very hard, and they have very high standards of their guys. but they are utilized for a lot of tier 1 mission sets and considered tier 1 assets underneath certain flags whenever missions are gone. And I'll explain what tier 1 is versus
what's
tier 2.
1?
I figure you're looking at me like I don't know what tier 1 is.
I'm trying to follow with all the acronyms here.
Yeah, so apologies. I try to spit them out after. If I forget to do one, just stop me so you can tell me what that is. But a tier 1 asset is your SEAL Team 6, Delta Force. Those are tier 1 assets.
Okay.
Those are assets that, without getting deep in the politics of things, to put it in layman's terms, without congressional authority, the president has the ability to utilize these assets to take care of things very quick turnaround. So their funding is different. Their mission sets are different. The rules of engagement are different. They are the top tier of fighters in the United States of America. Fighting force.
Okay.
They are the guys. And their rules and their funding and their backing reflect that. Tier 2 are your standardized soft units, Green Berets, Raiders, Navy SEALs, Pararescuemen, CCT. What's cool about, a lot of people don't know this, like Delta Force specifically, in SEAL Team 6, there was a period of time, and I can't speak to it now, whether or not you're still able to or not. You could try out, regardless of what component you were from, you could try out to become a SEAL Team 6 member as well, even if you weren't a SEAL.
Okay.
Oh, I see.
That thing has ebbed and flowed throughout my time in, and I'm not sure what it is now, if you're still allowed to, or if that's even entertained anymore or not. So, again, any 6 guys that are watching this, I'm not saying you are. I don't know if they're allowed to or not anymore, but they were for a while. I got buddies who went and tried out for it. Did that thing. Delta Force is open to all components, all tier 2 soft units to try out to become a Delta Force member, even though it's a USASOC, United States Special Operations Army Command asset. It's comprised of members from all of the various soft units who've made it through Delta Force selection. So even though they're a Delta Force operator now, they may have originally been a Raider, they may have been a SEAL, they may have been a Pararescueman, or they may have been a CCT operative. They were a soft, but they tried out for Delta Force and they made it, so now they're a Delta Force operator on USASOC.
Gotcha. So the tier 1s are the elite teams of the SOC.
They are the selected from the selected.
SOC. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
The best of the best.
The best of the best. Yeah.
Wow.
Man. Well, you go from all that now in deployment, and you get out and you come back, and then what?
So I got out. I got married while I was in. I got married about 5 years in, so I was already through my pipelines and had already been a soft operator in that. So I ended up getting married. This portion of the story is going to be kind of jacked up because people always ask, like, you had kids, but you didn't get out, but then you had it's time to get out. But got married 5 years in. Was married a couple years. Then me and my wife had our first daughter, Callie. At that point, I'd already been in 7 years. 6-7 years, something like that, because we were married for 2 years and I had Callie. So yeah, 7 years. I decided I was staying in. I was in that life at this point. It's kind of crazy how, like I said, I told you guys at the beginning, I originally was just going to get in, do my time, and get out.
Right.
You do a couple deployments and experience some things, and it just becomes who you are. And I'm sticking around. This is
like chasing that adrenaline.
I'm going to go back. Yeah. Some guys say it's a lifestyle that's really hard to compare to.
Coming back to normal civilian life, it's got
very different.
Like
it is very different.
world.
I'll get into that because you just asked what did I do when I get out. But I had a couple kids, daughters, 2 girls back to back, and was never going to get out of the teams. I stayed in the teams my whole time in. The only time I was out of the teams, I blew my knee out in sniper school, folded my backwards, had a recovery period where I was out of the teams. Outside that, I stayed in the teams and just did back to back. I had a couple daughters. I came back from my 7th deployment, and she got pregnant right before I left, and ended up having a son. And I'm on my 3rd kid and 7th pump, and was already scheduled as a team chief at 3rd Raider Battalion, and was ready to. Already had my workup scheduled, and went back up. You average 8 to 10 months a year gone every year.
Oh, wow.
When you're in the teams. That's just the life. Even if you're not deployed, a lot of your training is offsite training where you're going to private locations like Asymmetric Solutions and various other locations around the world, around the country and the world, to either train with other partner nation forces or go to schools, specialty schools for training and education purposes. So you average 8 to 10 months a year gone. By the time my oldest daughter was 8 years old, me and my wife had sat down and chatted, and I'd been in the same state as her, not home, but the same state as her less than 18 months of her life. Just tell you how rough the life is.
And how old was she?
8 years old.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
The divorce rate in the Raider community, the soft community in general, is in the high 90 percentiles. That's just the way it is. It's a very rough life. So anyways, team chief, she got pregnant right before I left, had William, my son, right after I got back. I had extended on contract a few times, which is why I have a odd number, and I'm not right at 12 years. I was at some change. And I was walking out the door one day, and son, and keep doing this conversation came up because I was up for reenlistment. And if I signed the papers again, I was in it for long haul, which most people with as much time as I had are in it for the long haul anyway. I was up for Master Sergeant and had a really good, successful military career. Was doing really well. And anyways, already had my undergrad and spoke a couple languages and my TSSCI clearance and all that stuff. So I had other options. Decided, yeah, screw it. If we're going to get out, let's get out. So I got out. No real plan other than I'm going to try to give because of what I just told you, I'm never home. Try to go be a normal guy. Go back into construction, even though I had an education and had lots of other options. I'm like, I like construction. I like working with my hands. My family does it. She's from Missouri. I'm from Missouri. No high school sweetheart story or nothing. That's just I was home on leave. And,
okay.
And that's how
you met.
I met here. It's a whole other story.
Yeah.
I was actually going to jail.
Really?
She was the one that arrested you?
Yeah.
She was the police officer?
She was the friend of a friend who came and got me from the cops, and that's the only reason why I got let go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But anyways, I was going to be a regular guy. And so I dove into, welding and that and construction world again, and ended up getting my welding certs, so my x-ray certs and stuff like that. Ended up getting tied into Local 562 up here in St. Louis. I didn't go back to the family. That pretty much died off at my brother, because my brother ended up joining. My brother's 18 months younger than me. He ended up joining Air Force shortly after I joined, a year after me. Ended up in the rescue squadrons on that side. But that's what I did. Ended up at Local 562 up here. Good money and living a normal life.
How was that transition?
It was good. I get along with guys in the construction world because that's the world I'm from. And most of the dudes are pretty straight laced and dark humored, rough dudes that
fits right along with the military people.
Fits right along with the community that I just came from. And then I grew up in it, so it wasn't a bad transition. It was just a different. I was very used to being around above average, overly driven dudes who are also hard, but are very, I guess, I don't know, it's just undescribable because that's all I know that's all I knew in my adult life was being around that because I got into it so young. To come back out to, which is still a great group of people, but there's just a differentiator in what is considered living and not living and what's considered acceptable and unacceptable.
Just the standards.
Just the standards of life and the standards of living and the expectations in self and others. And it's just very different. And when you've been around that, you find yourself going, fuck.
Yeah.
What the fuck's wrong with you? Like,
pick yourself up.
Like, pull your shit together, man.
Right.
I don't give a fuck what's going on. Like, fix your shit and that type of stuff.
You got a job to do.
And you're just used to that. It's not a life or death mission anymore, but we got shit to get done. Let's get the fuck done. Like, anyways. So it was just different, so that was aggravating, but, I tied to some really good dudes, and if any of the guys see this show, they'll know who they are, but like there's a really solid crew of guys I got tied to there at Local 562. I still talk to them today and keep in touch with them and hang out with them, at least a few months usually. I'll have a drink or something, text them every now and then. But I very quickly, I mean, within I'd say within 6 months, 7 months, was like, this just ain't who I am anymore. Kind of started looking around for something to fill my time on the weekends, and that it was more of where I just came from. And ended up, a friend of the family had told me about Asymmetric Solutions, which is my previous partner, John, had just stood it up down there. It was nothing but a big chunk of land, 2 little buildings and some ranges, and a bunch of civilians down there training with a little bit of law enforcement. But there was a bunch of team guys and stuff down there that John had brought together, and was trying to get this thing off the ground.
When was this?
2016, 15, so January 2016.
Okay, so then you you joined these guys and started working there? Or?
Yeah, so I kept working up at 562, doing the regular thing because it was a good benefits, good job, good paying. I had 3 kids at the time, and I was just going down there on the weekends and messing around training civilians with them because at that time we had Zach and Jimmy and a Green Beret and a SEAL and a couple CIA cats and like dudes from my world.
Yeah,
it was just good to be around them again and hang out. And teaching the civilians was awesome. It was fun, and they're like sponges that just wanted to learn. And and you're used to when you're doing classroom style training evolutions with other soft dudes. Everybody's got a chip on their shoulder, and they're like, "Man, I got 6 fucking deployments. You gonna teach me that kind of shit?"
Sure.
We don't deal with any of that stuff with civilians, so
So
it was really
you
it
go
was really
into,
enjoyable to like teach.
wanting to learn.
Yeah, and so I was doing that stuff on the weekends for fun, really, and it was extra income, but the place wasn't a real business at all. It was just a bunch of dudes basically had an idea, and then that's how it started. I kept doing the normal thing, and eventually, but I could see the potential in the place. It was awesome to be around, being bootstrapped for the most part with a little bit of investment, but it's primarily bootstrap and just making ends meet barely. John eventually ended up being my partner in it. Asked me if I wanted to take over the operation, decide whether or not I was going to drop $42,000 a year benefits package and damn near 6-figure job to go like $35K a year on an entrepreneurial journey and not even know if the $35K was going to come to fruition.
Sure, yeah.
With a family of 5 at the time.
Right.
But fortunately, I was never done with money in that. And you make pretty good money in special operations. You get big reenlistment bonuses and stuff. And when you jump, dive, and demolition qualified, and you do deployments all the time, it's all tax free and hazardous duty pays and SDA 5 pay, which is specialty pay you get for being in a SOCOM unit because it's dangerous.
Okay.
You're making pretty good money, and I was never done with money, so we had a decent amount of savings, and I was able to supplement that lack of income with savings with the belief that we could make asymmetric
Profitable.
a big business. Wow. So I dove in. So that's how it started.
Wow, and here you are 10 years later, and
yeah.
I mean, it's a very successful business. Like what did you do to kind of really, what kind of took it to that next level?
Fake it till you make it. That's what I'm just playing, but seriously, just fake it till you make it.
Yeah,
like we were just, it was a whole lot of, even today, you would look at, and I'm sure you guys have looked at the website and heard about the company. Yeah. You guys have been down there, it's a big training ground. Looking at us on the internet, we look like this massive defense contract company with places across the nation in New Mexico and Farmington, and we do have we have a big footprint and we have a big presence. But we're still a small business, just trying to make it. I'm still dealing with small business issues like every other small business does. We have active investors, bunch of debt. So we are successful from a client base becoming a known entity in the SOCOM unit, a respected entity in the SOCOM world and the defense contracting world. But we're still a small business just trying to figure it out. So we are successful, but not debt free. 100% in the black yet.
Well, I feel like there's very few businesses out there that are debt free.
Yeah.
So,
So what did it really is, and this is a common answer, but it really holds true in this industry is the team of guys that we brought in, the mentality of the team of guys that work at the location. If you got enough money, anybody can have a bunch of land and some ranges and places for guys to stay and that. But the culture that we built at the company was all based around 100. One, it's a bottom up organization, just like soft. One of the biggest differentiators that people don't realize makes special operations different than, when I say soft, I mean special operations forces for you guys.
Yeah, I caught that.
Again, sorry.
I got it. I get that one.
The biggest differentiator in SOF comparative to conventional military is SOF is 100% bottom up organization. Everything is driven by the guy on the ground. There is no commander going, you're going to do this because I think it's the best. It's the guy on the ground saying, this is what needs to be done for us to accomplish this mission. Commander reviews it, approves it based off what's being fed to him directly from the guys on the ground. And then the authorities and the ability to make decisions at the lower levels are far greater than that in conventional units as well. So we run the business the same way. I don't independently make any decisions for the company whatsoever. Like every decision made for this company, we bring every member of the team in from the round table. We got a big asymmetric, it's not round, it's square, but it's our Viking table.
That's awesome.
My father-in-law is a wood maker, very, very talented craftsman. And he made us this badass table with chain mill and 5 different types of cherry wood. It's hand hewed.
That's awesome.
It's massive. It's awesome. You know, I think there is a picture of it on the website. Contact us. But anyways, we bring everybody in and discuss every decision that's made. Say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. You guys think? That's how the business has been entire way. So that's really what I think the success comes from is, fortunately, we've had investors, a team of guys who all have the mindset of no matter what we have to sacrifice personally or collectively, we will do whatever we have to in order to assure that the guys that we are training get what they need when they need as quickly as they need it, at whatever cost it is to me, myself, my family. And I'm fortunate this for our investors because there's been lots of training iterations and contracts that we have lost money on because we've decided that based off the feedback from the unit that they're training with us or that we're supporting, they come here thinking they need one thing, and then they realize a lot of times, like, I thought we were good on this, but we really focus on this and train this instead because fucked up. Well, the contract didn't cover the cost of doing that. We've never said no to just shifting gears, bringing more people and doing whatever, because these guys are leaving us and going down range. And to have that on your conscience that you said no over a fucking profit margin, it's just something we're not going to do. Fortunately, a large portion of the industry doesn't do that, and they say it's not in the contract, it ain't happening. So we've done that since the beginning. And fortunately, like I said, we have investors that are super patriotic, that understand, appreciate, and believe in that mindset, and have continued to fund us, even though from a business standpoint, some of those decisions are not smart. I forgot to throw in there I ended up going to WashU Business School and getting my master's in business from Washington University.
Yeah, that's kind of a good school.
Yeah, it was decent. I Hail Married an application. I think it was like a diversity hire or something. I definitely was like the fucking animal in the petting zoo, going to that school.
But I did this tiger in here with all these sheep.
But I did get accepted and I went to business school. So the reason I throw that in there is just because, like, I've been educated on the way to I grew up in business, watching small business. Went to a decent school that teaches you business and understand properly and efficiently. And the decisions I've made and the team has made are not smart business decisions on some fronts. And it's because the reputational maintenance of and the ability to be able to look at yourself in the fucking mirror at the end of the day is more important. Again, there's a lot of risk on my name and the livelihoods of the guys that work here when it comes to keeping the business afloat. But again, we've been fortunate enough to have investors that also support our reputational focus. So,
and that probably puts you ahead of those other places that you mentioned. They're like, yeah, well, it's not in the contract, so we're not going to do it. So it's probably in the long run going to help you win more contracts at the end of the day because
it's a reputation.
Yeah, exactly.
The guys on the ground, that have came to us want to come back to us, and it's been, it's rough to get your foot in the door at SOCOM, and then the old saying of it takes 10 years to build a reputation, it takes 10 minutes to destroy it is so fucking real.
I would even say 10 seconds.
It does.
Yeah,
I could use another analogy about the whole bridge builder and dick sucker thing. You know, but I'm not sure of the audience here.
No, you're good. You're good.
You know, but you know, it holds very true. You know, you can do 1,000 good things and then do one nasty thing, and to the whole world, you're the nasty fucker. You know, instead of the bridge builder.
Those watching, if you don't know the bridge builder and cocksucker, Google it.
And so it's extremely true in SOCOM because it is such a vicious environment where there's no tolerance for weakness. There's no tolerance for failure. There's no tolerance for lack of dedication or cause. If you show any of those things, you will get fucking eaten alive. And, you know, that's part of the reason why I love that environment is it keeps you sharp, it keeps you strong, it keeps you top of your game because, you know, even in asymmetric, you know, it's like I tell these guys all the time, you know, if you look at the resumes of some of the guys that work there, I am one of the most underqualified guys there because I seek out that have done more than me, better than me, that are more experienced than me. Because it makes me better, makes our team better, makes the company better. If I'm seeking out people that I can always say, well, I've done more deployments than you, and I've done more of this than you, and I've done more of that to you, then what the fuck am I doing? I'm keeping the pinnacle of what I think is the pinnacle, which is not me. Lots of guys out there that are better than me, done more shit than me. I can get them to come to my team. Yeah, fucking right, I want them. Like,
hell yeah.
Yeah, but with that, you bring those personalities in. Now you got a dude who's like, show me a fucking ounce of weakness. Show me an ounce of weakness, and I'm gonna take you.
Yeah,
I invite that. You know,
that's what keeps you sharp.
That's what keeps you sharp. That's what keeps you good.
Yeah. What is it? Iron sharpens iron.
Yeah, iron sharpens iron. Man, that's big Marine saying for sure.
Yeah.
Steel sharpens steel. Iron sharpens iron.
Iron sharpens iron. It's good. Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't realize. So, I mean, obviously, I knew that because I've only been there once. You guys, you teach civilian courses, but you also train. You have teams come in there. Like, who all comes to asymmetric for training? I mean, I don't know who you can disclose, but I mean, all different kinds of military.
So the military in general, like we train any Department of Defense or federal agency that requires tactical training or mission critical support, exercise support, and now research and development / logistical procurement and support as well. So we have a logistical arm stood up and a research and development arm we stood up as well. But on the training side, you know, anybody needing tactical training, specialty training, like I say specialty training, you know, subterranean warfare. We have one of the largest subterranean warfare training capabilities out here because
what does that mean?
Fighting underground caves.
Oh, shit.
So a lot of people don't know that Missouri is the cave state.
Yeah. There's a ton of them.
There's tons of underground networks here. Able to capitalize, create relationships, and get access and placement to a lot of those locations in order to conduct training here that a lot of people can't. High-speed evasive driving, technical off-road driving is another specialty training stuff that we do. You know, at our Farmington facility, we got over 70 miles of intertwining trail.
I was going to say, how big is the property out there?
Off-road stuff, 1,300 acres.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we have the Malden Annex, which is, you know, we got 2.5 miles of hardball for high-speed evasive driving, and then a mile and a half of high-speed rally, which is pretty badass. It was actually a golf course that we turned into a high-speed.
Really?
Yeah. So, like, if you're an off-road guy or a high-speed guy or a dirt bike guy, like, riding a golf course is like a dream. Yeah, that's what we did. That's
awesome.
We leased a golf course and turned it into just a high-speed rally. So just like floating hills.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
That's awesome. Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's big. It's big down there.
What's the ultimate goal for asymmetric solutions? Where you guys see yourself in 10 years?
So the goal was always to try to be the one-stop shop for up to a company size soft unit training location. And when I say one-stop shop is, and if you don't understand the amount of money, work, and effort and complexity that goes into supporting like a company size soft unit is approximately 125 personnel between the teams, all the teams, and the support personnel attached to them to support them. So it's a massive movement. Like when you deploy as a company, I'll just use a bullshit like Africa.
Okay.
If I deploy you to Africa, all my team is not staying in one location. I'm going to have a team over here on the north side. I'm going to have a team over here on the south side. I'm going to have a team up here in the west side. I'm going to have a team over here on the east side, and I have a team located with my headquarters element or some variation of that.
Okay.
So you got people spread out all over. So when I say that we wanted to be a one-stop shop for the ability to support up to company size evolutions, when you deploy as a company, special operations company, you have to train up to deploy as a company. And when you train up and you work up to deploy as a company, you have to put together basically a fake deployment. How do you do a fake deployment in America? America, Africa. You say, okay, Missouri is our headquarters location. Florida is our east side. Mexico is our west side. I'm just throwing.
Yeah.
Tennessee is our north side, and Texas is our south side. And we're going to put teams all over there. We wanted to get to a place to where a team could come to one location and conduct an exercise to that scale, support an exercise and training evolution to that scale, just one vendor. Right now, the majority of training iterations like that, you'll have 10, 12, 15 various vendors, contractors that are tied to that training evolution to make that happen. Because vendor X has a location in Texas, vendor Y has one in Carolina, vendor J has one over here. So they've contracted all these locations to support this. The reason we have New Mexico, and then we actually wanted to get one so we could be one location, and then have all of the subject matter experts, SMEs, internal organically to the company to support whatever tactical training requirements are necessary for the evolution, as well as have the logistical support and exercise control / experienced personnel that can run the exercises, all internal to one location. So from a contracting perspective, one of the biggest pains in the ass in a team chief or an ops chief, to build a training evolution that for your company or your team going downrange is deconflicting the logistics of what I just explained to you.
Yeah.
You can imagine preparing for that exercise and then trying to get all the contracts lined out for 15 various contracts that have to have statements of work that are detailed out, like we will get X amount of cars, X amount of ATVs, X amount of locations, this much food, this much water, blah, 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 times 15, and have to get that done. I mean, it eats guys lunch. So to be able to go, I don't have to do this 15 at different times. I can go to asymmetric,
do it all,
and just tell them, here's what we need done, and we can do it all, is a fucking dream for a team guy or an ops chief or a team chief who's having to deconflict an evolution like that. So the goal for asymmetric was to try to get there. We're about...
That's about halfway there?
Yeah, about halfway there.
Yeah.
60, 70% there.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
So that was the ultimate goal, is to be a one-stop shop that had a reputation in the community as being 100% warfighter focused, not business focused, and that you could conduct 90% of your training requirements and support requirements with a single contract versus having to piecemeal together 12, 15, 20 various vendors to support your needs.
Now, how frequently are you guys putting these trainings on?
It all depends on the year. One of the biggest problems we have is long-term enduring contracts because we are still new. So, this thing's been 10 years of, a little over 10 years of work. John had a couple of years prior to me coming in, and then us breaking. We don't really consider the company a company until we got our first military contract, which was in 2018, November 2018. So when you do the math on that, we're approximately 7 years of contract experience. Your first 5 years in defense contracting, you're just trying to prove that it could stick around. There's no credibility. There's nothing. That's all you're trying to do, is build a reputation so that you can survive. Just like 90% of small businesses fail within the first 5 years. Another 90% of those fail within the second 5 years, and so on and so forth. After 5 years, you're just now starting to get looked at as a serious entity. You have it's called past performance, which shows what you've done, who you've trained, the depth of which you've trained, and the size of the iterations, the amount of the fiscal, with an F, fiscal, amount of the contracts that you've managed and you've been given. They look at all that before they even entertain the possibility of you getting these large-scale multi-year contracts to which you're going to manage for any period of time. So when you say how frequent it is, most of our contracts still to date are still ground level, team / company size, hand to mouth, immediate award contracts that they just repeat customers that come back, or they hear about us and they come directly to us. We only have a couple of your enduring contracts, like I just explained, which otherwise, if we were like a well-established academy, which used to be Blackwater, Costellas, and some of those other ones. Those guys, if you talk to their contract reps, they're like, oh, we have 323 iterations scheduled for 2025. Well, they can say that because they have these multi-year contracts that says you have these training evolutions are going to occur throughout the. We average. I'd say if this year was actually the best year.
That's awesome.
So that's good. But we average several dozen here between the 3 locations. But because the other pillars of the company, all the voids are filled with law enforcement training or security iterations or civilian training as well. So military specifically, usually.
And then you still do a lot of civilian stuff as well.
So not near as much as what we did in the beginning. That's all it was.
Mm-hmm.
That was a way to get a foundation established for the company, get a revenue stream in, do some fun stuff, and then give back to society as a whole. Like good, patriotic American Second Amendment, God-loving, God-fearing Americans that want to protect themselves and their family. As the company progressed, obviously the biggest liability we have as a company is our civilian training. That is the biggest liability. Not because of accidents, not knock on wood. We've had no major accidents with any of our training evolution or any of our sectors of the company. Actually, the worst accident we've had was one of our instructors' wives, and she actually ended up shooting herself in the top of the foot while they were out there messing around with the gun because one of our other instructors, dumbass, gave her a competitive pistol because she kept jerking her trigger. And the idiot thought it'd be a good idea to hand her a trigger that was like less than a half-pound pool that you could breathe on and set it off.
Yeah.
And she was coming out of the holster and slipped her finger on it and kicked it off right in the top of her foot.
Oof.
But
hey,
no harm, no foul. It was one of our guys.
Right.
But aside from that, we've had no accidents down there. No issues.
Great.
So it's been good. But anyway, the civilian stuff is still the highest liability. Not just for that accidents, but for if somebody does something stupid after getting training.
Yeah.
But the training on the civilian side is nothing but defensive. We don't teach offensive tactics to the civilian side whatsoever. It's all about self-defense, family defense, property defense. And then a lot of the laws and the legalities associated with doing any of those 3 things are part of the classes as well. Understanding that utilization of a weapon is your absolute last resort. Not going down there to be like, super good with a gun now. I go straight to my gun and shoot somebody for something bad. Like, that's the fucking worst thing you can do.
Right.
Don't ever do that. Everybody watching, don't ever do that. Don't come to us. Like, don't fucking do that.
Please don't come to us.
Don't pull your gun out and like think that that's your first line. Like, even just showing your gun. The minute you show your gun, like, you're opening up for somebody else to kill you legally. Like,
Yes.
So don't pull that gun out until you're ready to actually use it, or you have to use it.
Right.
So, but anyways, because of that, as the company grew and the liability of that, we hit a decision point where it was either get rid of the civilian training or figure out a way to be able to definitively show to people that we have taken every precaution necessary to assure that people that are coming there training good, abiding citizens that had no reason to believe whatsoever something outside of we're trained there. So we revamped things several years ago and created what's called the AMG, the Asymmetric Members Group. So now, in order for people to come down there and train consistently, they go through a 3-phase background check. And then after the background check, if it comes back clean, they move on to phase 2, where they'll go to a in-person interview like this, in-person or VTC, whatever's available based off their availability. And that's with members of the AS staff and a couple members of the already screened AMG, where they're given a Q&A session for 20, 30 minutes. They answer some questions, gives us a chance to kind of get the demeanor of the person, get to know them a little bit, screen their answers to the questions. And then that panel decides whether or not they had any red flags during the Q&A session or any kind of, guys look good on paper, but he's fucking kind of weird. And then if they make it through that, then they get green lighted, then they go down and they get sent an AMG members package, and they have 90 days to obtain certain skill sets that they have to perfect. They have to memorize their safety rules. They have to memorize various other academic things associated with being a member there. And then they have skill set tests where they have to prove that they know basic fundamentals of pistol manipulation and carbine manipulation. And they test out all that stuff, and then they officially become an AMG member. Why is that process in place? Because that mirrors pretty much the same academic screening process of every federal agency out there, or off in any military unit whatsoever. Like I get screened, I'm good. I go through a panel, I'm good. I have minimal testing and requirements that show that I'm competent, and then I officially I get my T-shirt. So we do the same thing. So if anybody ever does anything stupid from that, sure, say we literally put them through the same process to become a police officer or to become a member of the military. Like there's nothing we could have done. So how much do we do? Less than we used to, but the AMG trains 2 times a month, every other weekend. And then once a quarter, we do an open enrollment, which is open to the public. And it's a bots class, basics of tactical shooting, which is in order to show people what we do down there for the AMG. And that is open to the public. We still do a basic screening on the names and the applications that come through. They don't get a full phase background check, but we pop them off the big system and make sure we don't have, some
crazies going through.
Saddam Hussein's nephew coming through or something, something crazy. And then you could still do corporate events and stuff like that down there and private training iterations. If you do that, then we do the same thing, bounce you off the basic system and come down. So it's a decent amount, but it's nothing like what it used to be.
Do you guys do any of that stuff? Like you're like a lot of these charities, like, one that you got Dogs for the Brave, and then you got Warriors Wingman and stuff like that. And they're always looking for like, for the guys that they help, taking them out and like doing, basically putting them through that stuff because, that's what they miss. That's what they need or what they want. Do you do things like that?
100%.
Yeah.
So anytime, I'd say a good, we've had a couple bad experiences, not many, just a couple with some of the organizations to where once the leadership of the organizations got involved, we realized that they weren't what they were portrayed to be. And we've distanced ourselves from those entities. But 98% of them that we've worked with and we continue to work with or have approached us to support anything like that, we always support it. And then we have some internal stuff that we run as well. Like we just got done doing last weekend the Recon Raider Remembrance Ride, big motorcycle memorial ride that benefits. This year we tied to the Freedom 13, the Abbey Gate Memorial, and became one of their riding groups there. But the R4 ride in general, all the proceeds and the stuff that goes to the Gold Star families from the Marine Special Operations communities. And we bring in Gold Star families from those communities and we house them at the compound and they get to experience what their father, their son, their husband did. They get to put on the kit, shoot the guns, see the mission sets and like be like, wow, this is what this is what they did. And I had no clue. And they do that for a couple of days down there. So that's one internally, but then we also support heavily the Raider Foundation, DAV, Department of Disabled American Veterans, SEAL Foundation, Green Beret Foundation, all those entities, we support, we do things. Anything that they ask us to support, we support. Donate the land, donate the time, instructors, facility usage, anything we can to help those organizations.
That's
Backstoppers, here in St. Louis, the Police Foundation and that. We got a big SWAT competition coming up and, a large portion of all that stuff is going to the Backstoppers and the Special Operations Care Coalition. So again, another long answer to your simple question.
Yeah.
No, that's what we like. Podcasts are all about long answers.
We support as much of it as what we can, as often as we can. Obviously, operations for active duty personnel take precedence over, on the facilities. But a lot of times, even when we have operations happening out there, those guys are very understanding of sharing the location for supporting stuff like that.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I've always been curious about, just because, obviously movies and TV shows, project things in a different light, but like the egos of those high level those high level teams, like what's crazy is you see this and like you watch these shows or these movies and their egos are through the roof, but then here they are on these top level SEAL Team 6s and Delta Forces where you have to put your egos in fucking check. Mm-hmm. Is that real? Like, are those egos really, really that high? And then they're able just cut them out in a second to join one of those.
So the general rule of thumb is the more you've done, the smaller the ego.
Yeah. I can imagine.
And that's just the reality of it. The SEALs get a bad rap for having the biggest chip on their shoulder and being if you ever met a Navy SEAL and wonder if he is one, just give it a second. And if you don't know if he is or not, eventually he'll tell you.
It's like
you
the
know,
people that
but
do
that's
CrossFit
because they're
will
one
let
of the
you
most
know.
heavily publicized
Yeah.
soft units out there. I mean, their marketing machine is fucking phenomenal. I mean, the Navy SEALs, I mean, they got more Hollywood movies and shit out there
Yeah.
than anybody. I mean, they are good, you know.
If you think special forces, first
You
thing
think
you're gonna say
SEALs.
is SEALs.
Yeah.
Yep, that's because, again, their marketing machine is fucking on point. And that's part of their culture. They want people to know, like,
We're the bad.
We're the bad.
the Navy is the SEAls, you know, whereas, you know, the other communities, you know, I mean, literally, if you look at the little bit of advertising out there for the Raiders and Force Recon, it literally is like silent professionals. Like, and you're taught, like, when you finish selection in those groups, at graduation, you're told you ain't fucking special. Like, I don't give a fuck if you're one of us now. Like, you mean nothing, and 100 guys would love to have your spot. Your T-shirt is, you're a fucking nobody. Whereas SEAL is like, you're a fucking SEAL. Like,
Yeah.
go get my lunch.
Yeah.
you know, so it's very different cultures. And, you know, those cultures drive things. But to answer your question, you know, you have to check your ego, just because if you don't, eventually somebody will check it for you. And you have to stay humble, because if you don't stay humble, somebody will fucking humble you, because there's always somebody bigger, badder, faster, stronger, smarter than you that's going to end up in your team, going to be eventually taking over something from you, or going to put you in your place. So the guys who do have egos are not humble. They learn the hard way a lot of times. Unfortunately, in those communities, a lot of us have to learn the hard way. You know, I'd be lying if I didn't say when I first made it through selection and that and came in, didn't have a certain degree of like, fuck yeah, like I'm one of the fucking guys. And then you very quickly get reminded like you're a fucking nobody. You're fucking nobody. Selection starts today, now that you're done with selection. You know? But again, that was the culture and the community I was in. If you've interacted with many guys from those communities on the outside world, fortunately, I like to believe that a large 85-90% of us don't have egos. Guys are pretty down to earth and level headed and don't talk about who they were, what they did. And like I said at the beginning of that, usually the guys that are the big mouths and got the big fucking ego, and I was a SEAL, or I was a SEAL Team 6 dude, or I was a fucking dude. They're usually the dudes that didn't really do much of anything. You know, it's just like the biggest mouth in the bar.
Right.
Yeah.
He's got the softest fucking jaw.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I mean, the only thing I can kind of relate that to is just martial arts and jujitsu. You know, you get these people that come in and they think they're tough, and then they get beat up by like a
14-year-old.
Yeah, I was gonna say like a 140-pound girl. You know,
Yeah.
I mean that was me when I started. I've
Oh, yeah.
told that story many times on here, but you know, I got my ass kicked by she's a black belt now. I mean, she's badass. You know,
Yeah.
I do CrossFit with her, but like my very first day, she just beat the living shit out of me. And I was like, you know, I came in, I was like, I wrestled in high school. I lift weights. I'm a tough guy. And then
Yeah.
she just showed me how tough I wasn't very quick.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, you see that a lot with, you know, being in this for, you know, 7 years now. I've seen like a lot of people come and go, and, you know, those big egos, they don't stick around for very long because you're getting humbled all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually funny you bring up. So my son fights jiu-jitsu. My daughter's also fight
Oh,
jiu-jitsu.
nice.
Yeah.
Where do they train?
My son at Gracie Baja
Okay.
in Washington, Missouri.
Cool.
Yeah. But it's funny you bring up the girls, because girls are tough as fuck at jiu-jitsu.
Fuck yeah.
And especially in the younger
I got
age,
ankle
because-
locked by a chick yesterday.
Yeah, or the
Gonna
leg
snap my-
locks.
yeah,
They get the
she-
legs locked
yeah,
right. They get
she's
you a triangle
gonna
choke
snap
over
my
the
foot
leg.
off.
Like,
Yeah.
you're fucked. Anyways, the reason I mentioned jiu-jitsu is and the tough guy attitude, because a lot of people think that special operations in general, like you're this fucking, everybody's this badass knife fighting brawler,
Rambo.
you know? And there are those guys, because if you take that path in the teams, you can go to every fucking specialty training school, all around the world, and like you'll become a Jason Bourne fucking
Killer.
badass
Yeah.
killer, you know. And some guys take that path, you know. I got guys at the compound that works for us that is one of those guys that was what he made sure he did throughout his time in those things. And everybody has a baseline on fighting. You know, you have to get promoted. You got to get your green belt, got to get your black belt. Like you
Right.
can't. You have to get your black belt in you know, Marine Corps martial arts as a Raider in order to get promoted to DAM, which is a combination of various fighting skill sets, and a lot of it's combat oriented. But like guys know how to fight, but they're not black belts in jiu-jitsu.
Right.
All right. And a lot of guys, because I've been exposed to the jiu-jitsu world, obviously the fighting world in general, because of the path I chose in life.
Yeah.
And then watching it consistently now with my son and that, and people come in and go is, you see those dudes come in like, yeah, and I know them, like I SEALs and Raiders and fucking dudes, and come in there and they're white belt and start their shit and getting their fucking head caved in.
Yeah.
By
an accountant.
a 17-year-old or a damn 20-year-old that's, like you said, 140 pounds that's working at a grocery store.
Right.
You know?
Yes. 100%.
It's like, and this is a dude who's got like 6 combat deployments and has put real blood on the ground, like taking life. And he's just like, what the fuck just happened?
I've told this, I think I've told this story on this podcast before, but there was when I was probably maybe a year and a half into training. So I was still pretty new. And, it was a guy, he was kind of telling everybody how he was a SWAT sniper, and it was kind of his first day, and I was able to take him out a handful of times, and I was like, wow, like I just strangled a SWAT sniper who was 50 pounds heavier than me, and like several times. Like, wow, this is like I don't know, it was just pretty eye-opening.
Well, it's a front that's put out there. You got to put it. I mean, you guys, we're all guys here. You know the reality. If you're not afraid to get your ass kicked, as soon as a guy from our world or the fight world, same thing in the fighting world, like, do you run around telling people you're a black belt? I don't know if you're black belt.
I'm not a purple belt.
But do you run around telling people, like, first thing out of your mouth is, like, at a bar, I'm a fucking purple belt? No. So those guys because the minute that is out in the open,
you're a target.
You're a fucking target. Yeah. Just like if people find out you're a SEAL or a Raider or a fucking Delta guy or whatever, once you're there, now there's no pride loss in losing.
Yeah, it's a test.
There's no pride loss in losing. Like, I'm Joe Schmo at the bar.
Yeah.
And I know you're a Navy SEAL. I ain't afraid to get my face kicked in. I got a bunch of buddies here and chicks here that's going to impress the fuck out if I'm able to kick your ass. I'm probably going to lose. Or I think I might lose, I might not. If I lose, I go back to my buddies and go, yeah, I lost. Motherfucker's a Navy SEAL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if I win,
you're a hero.
I'm fucking King Kong on Kong Mountain.
Yeah, for sure.
So like, if you want to, that was back to the people who run their mouth the most, have really done the least. Like, I used to tell my wife all the time, like, don't tell people what I did. Like, you don't want them to know. I don't want them to fucking know, because the minute it's out there, you're a target. Yeah. Unfortunately, in the male world, especially in the areas you hang out, when you're guys like I'm sitting with, like you guys, I'm sure you ain't hanging out in fucking clay pottery classes. You're going to places where other dudes are at.
Right.
That they find out who you are, what you are, and eventually somebody gets a couple of drinks in them, liquid courage, and like, I think I'm gonna take a fucking shot at the champ tonight and see what happens.
Yeah. And
it fucking ruins your night. It's like, man, I didn't want to fight. I did this shit for a living. I don't want to do this. I'm here to have some. I don't want to do this.
Yeah, I'm never looking for a fight.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Do you do any jiu-jitsu at all with the kids?
No, I mean, I play around with them. Yeah. Because I've been exposed to all of it. I've had baseline training in a lot of different skill sets, but I don't do any of it. I'm by no means martial artist in any capacity whatsoever. Do I know the fundamentals of various fighting styles? Yeah. Have I grappled and fucked around and done that stuff a lot? Yeah. But I'm
no desire to.
I'm not. It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
I like doing it. It's just not my thing. So I'm not one of those guys who wanted to pursue that stuff nonstop. I enjoy doing it with friends, and like my guys that like Joe I was telling you about earlier, and Pete and some of my other guys that are fighters, like, when they want
Justin,
Justin, like they want to fuck around and, show me some stuff and we'll play around and that stuff. Like, I enjoy doing that kind of shit, but I've never been wanted to do it for fun. I did it because it was part of my job, and that's why I did it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, one thing I, definitely wanted to ask, just all your time overseas and, as a Raider, is there a time or a moment that happened that's like kind of really like seared in your brain I'm sure you've had some crazy experiences.
Yeah.
Is there one that you're willing to talk about or can?
I'll talk about anything you guys want to say. One, I'm not this always stirs emotions, that, but again, I'm not kind of like the ego thing. Most of your guys that are saying they're like, I just don't want to talk about it, they fucking do anything 90% of the time. It's usually bullshit.
Yeah.
That's movie shit. Too many movies they've watched. So I'll talk about anything you want to talk about. But as far as something that I do get that question a lot, anytime anybody asks me about my time in the Raiders Special Operations, because of the period of time I was in and all the deployments. get that. Like, what's the
Is there
scariest thing, or what is the one? What is the one thing?
Sorry.
And honestly, and I'll tell you the same thing I tell everybody. There were several things that have happened in combat and various deployments that were life ending or life altering that panned out for me. And if you want to hear about some of those, I'm more than happy to talk about those. But the scariest thing in that community to date, and I'm a guy, like, I grew up in the water. Like, I was a swimmer. When I was a young kid, I was a competitive swimmer. My mom had me in swim team when I was damn 7 years old. And like, I was racing freestyle and butterfly and backstroke. And like, I was a swimmer. And back to being humbled. Like, and then you go soft, I'm a fucking swimmer. This ain't nothing until you're drowning. And you're like, I don't swim as good as I thought I could. But there's a reason I bring that up, is because the scariest thing in those communities was during training iterations and during, selection, BRC, amphib phase. You do
what's that?
Amphibious.
Amphibious. Okay.
Yeah. Waterborne operations. You do helo casting and scout swimmer iterations and beach survey iterations, which is, a beach survey is when you're getting dropped over the horizon, which means you're far enough away from the shoreline that the curvature of the earth prevents people from seeing you inserting into the water. So, you're a
couple miles out,
1,600 meters, 1,700 meters, 3,000 meters. It all depends on the tides and the daylight condition or the light conditions and all that, and how far you really have to be for them not to see you. But yeah, it's approximately 2 miles. And you're getting kicked out of a helicopter in the middle of the night with a buddy, be 2 other teams. And if you're the scout swimmer team, you're the lead team in front of everybody all by yourself, which is you and a buddy. Swimming in, 1 o'clock in the morning, pitch fucking black, blacked out completely, black wetsuit, black everything, black ruck, black everything.
Yeah.
Like a fucking seal, not a Navy SEAL, like a barking seal.
Yeah.
During peak feeding times of
great white
sharks.
Yeah.
And looking at attack board is a board with a compass on it that just has a, glow in the dark.
You have this in the water with you.
You have this in the water with you, and you've already done your map survey and that, and so the azimuth, direction you're supposed to be swimming. So once you hit the water, get your bearings, find your azimuth, and you're just blindly swimming to this azimuth because you can't see the land. You're just in the middle of the ocean by yourself, swimming for a long period of time in pitch black darkness. And when you're out that far with only you and tag buddy, because you're roped together.
Okay.
Animals are not fucking afraid of you.
No.
So, dolphins will come up, seals will come up, they'll bump you, they'll hit you, they'll damn bark at you.
To run any sharks at all?
And that's what she'll do. If I did, I've never seen one. But,
that's good.
But like you'll feel shit swim under you that like moves you because they're just probing and trying to see what you are. And it didn't matter how many times we did that. It never got less
scary.
It just never got
away.
I mean, like, it's crazy because like fatigue doesn't even set in swimming because you're just like, I just want to get the fuck out of the water. So you're just
scared.
Like,
adrenaline.
It's like Finding Nemo. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Keep swimming. And that's all you're thinking is like, just keep. I used to do it with my K-bar because you got your kit on and shit, and you got a ruck with all your stuff and your weapons and all that shit on you. And you always got a K-bar or
What's
the equivalent of a K-bar is a type of knife. It's a big knife, but when you're training, you're issued a K-bar to do it. Once you're in the teams, you got Benchmades and stuff that are similar to K-bar, but they're more sleek, stylish, and better blades. It's a knife. I'll just say knife.
Okay.
I used to swim with it in my hand. Like it was going to make a fucking difference if Big and Hungry come swooping up.
At least it made you feel.
It made me feel better.
Yeah, for sure.
But to answer your question, like that is still like the first thing that pops in my brain anytime asking what's the scariest thing you did in the teams was those fucking training iterations. And I never got a chance to do those in real life. It was all training.
All just training.
It was all just training. But when you're going in a beach survey, is that it's you're sneaking in with a small team, 2 guys. You have team behind you, scout swimmers move in front of you, and you're going to survey the bottom composition and the depth of things for bringing ships in for conventional forces to land. So that's why you're getting dropped off and checking out. You're trying to get ship pathways. other for forces to come in, and then you get to the beach, you do a survey of the beach itself, like, okay, people can I fit on this thing? What are my areas of cover? Where are my exposed points? But throughout your time swimming in, you're getting depths and doing various things. So that's
How do you
why
do that?
that's why it exists. 550 cord, like
Okay, just a
literally
cord.
like cord, and now they have more technical devices where you can use with depth gauges and stuff like that. But then you do bottom samples, so like swim down, like you'll have a depth course, so you'll swim down as deep as you can to see if you can actually touch the bottom and feel the bottom. And if you can't get to the bottom, then you're pulling up and you're saving samples or samples. And like, okay, the composition at 1.2 miles out is partial gravel, partial sand, or mud, or whatever the case may be. So putting together an entire survey and brief for this is the width, this is the composition, these are the depths, we get this type of ship in here, this type of boat, this type of boat, this many troops in here. That's what you're doing as a reconnaissance element.
So how long do those swims would take?
All depends on the conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if your tides are up and then you got your currents for the night, man, sometimes hours to get in. And then other times, if the amphib gods were in your favor that night, like the currents carried you in, and you're like, yes, this is fucking amazing. Like, holy shit, we're only 14 out.
Well, how often were you having to swim and dive down to get samples?
It all depends on the area, because you're doing geographic surveys prior to going in, so you got an idea of what that area is, but you're confirming with hands-on, physically confirming based off the charts that have been published. So it all depends on the area, but I'd say always your last 500 meters, your last 750 meters and 1,000 meters in, you're starting to do swim downs and trying to get compositions, because that's where you're starting to get that slope.
Yep.
That heavy upward slope. That's also creepy too, because it's just black.
Yeah.
It's just black, and you're just swimming down and then sticking your hand
down
into the down and
just grabbing.
And the whole thing, everything about it is just unfun.
No, yeah, I don't want to do it.
The unknown.
It's just not fun.
Yeah.
So
you're in someone else's world out there.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're at the bottom of the fucking food chain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you're in monster soup, man.
Yeah, exactly. And ain't nobody gonna find your ass. Like it's it. So I mean, combat, various iterations and engagements and things like that. Lots of things. Kind of crazy how those things happen, because your adrenaline and shit's so high that fear's not even like there. I don't know how to explain it. It's just kind of what you've been want. It's just there. You just react. You just do things.
It's
your training is what that's what your training is for, and that's what happens when you've been properly trained. Is you just kind of
react
more when you start doing things. So I do remember. That's the scariest of the water. Is that
okay?
That's the first thing that pops in my head. Anytime anybody asks that question, like how to do a combat, am I getting shot at, and am I getting blown up? Like that's fucking scary.
Swimming in the dark,
so, like being kicked out of a helicopter over the horizon and swimming in the dark, black the fuck out. Oh, and I forgot. So you look like a seal, but when you're training, the bird peels off, but you have a single chem light that's on you like fucking spinner bait.
Oh,
so you're like, now I'm like a beetle spin, swimming through here,
oh man,
hanging out. So yeah, that's by far when I think of like what was the most uncomfortable, scariest iterations I was in, was those training iterations, because you're so far out of your element. That's not your world, And like I said, you spend a ton of time in the ocean, a ton of time in the water as SEALs, as raiders, pararescue men, but something about doing it at midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, pitch black conditions, and just being you and another guy it's fucking scary.
Yeah. Plus, were you in San Diego when you're doing these?
Yeah.
So fucking ice cold
Yeah.
water.
Oh, yeah, and that's like
Jeez.
great white. Yeah, it's like great
Great
white
white
territory.
territory. Yeah.
Man. Now, when you were in, like you got those big names that are out there. David Coggins. Jocko. Were you ever around those guys? Ever like?
No, never around Jocko. Never met Jocko. Never met David Goggins.
Marcus Luttrell and his brother.
No, some of my guys know Luttrell and have met Luttrell. We're on Steve, one of our SEALs. Luttrell. I won't drop his last name because it's not my place.
Yeah.
Some of my guys knew him. I didn't know him. So they were there, and see, I can't say. Kind of me a second. Anyways, lots of my guys have been, but on the
There was a big sniper, Kyle.
yeah, Chris Kyle. Yeah, so yeah, actually, two of my guys were with him in Fallujah.
Were they?
Yeah, doing stuff. One is a raider that back then was an infantry guy pushing through Fallujah. The other one was a SEAL that was actually new. SEAL. Now, I didn't spend any time around those big names that run around, Hollywood now.
Yeah. Curious. Well, Keith, this has been great having you in here, man. Is there anything that we didn't get to that you wanted to chat about, or anything you wanted to ask us?
No, man, super cool setup you guys got here.
Oh,
Nice, man.
Yeah, super cool.
Try to make it look like a teenage boy's bedroom, you know?
Yeah, it's like yeah.
Never growing up.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
It's like a combination of art and skater stuff and
Yeah.
psychedelic books and then
Baseball jerseys.
baseball jerseys. So it's like
that's
like a broad spectrum.
Yeah. Speaking of psychedelics, we were talking about this before the show, but you mentioned how you've had some teammates and things like that have gone through it, and you're going to be trying it.
Yep.
What is it? What are you hoping for out of this experience?
And I really don't know. Like we were talking about before the show, I do have several teammates. It is a therapy / treatment that is being highly recommended for guys from my community. Post the lifestyles that we live, as far as something to help you calm yourself and kind of take you out of the red, that you're inevitably put in those environments, yellow / red, referencing, being on alert and just always reactive. I don't feel like I have any of those things. You could ask my wife and she would say, differently. And she's like, tells me all the time, you don't understand and you don't realize that you're not like most people. It's just the way the community's, I guess. So I guess what I'm hoping for, I don't know what I'm hoping for out of it. What I hope doesn't happen is I hope it doesn't change me in any type of way that is negative, would negatively impact me, who I am, or my future. The reason I'm willing to try it now is because it's been happening for so long, and so many of my teammates have done it that I haven't talked to a single guy that hasn't been like, it's just puts you at peace with a lot of things. And I think some guys' experiences are greater than others because, and I'm not going to go down the PTSD realm, but I'm not a big believer in PTSD. PTSD does exist on a very, very small scale for extreme cases. Guys, I'll give you an extreme case. If a guy's entire team was killed and he was out there 3 days on his own, dragging his dead bodies around for 3 days, trying to get him off, and like it's a sole survivor and stuff like that. Like, yeah, that guy's going to be some stuff. But just killing people, just having people hurt, doing things for the right reasons. You have memories of doing that stuff, and it'll never go away. Period. Just like first time your dad spanked your ass or your mom slapped your face, you'll remember that shit forever. You do stuff like that, it'll never go away. It's a memory. If your brain works properly, memories don't just disappear. Doesn't mean you have a fucking problem. It's that your brain functions properly.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you flash back to those things randomly throughout life, it's because something in the environment that brings that memory up, something that was also in the environment in which the memory occurred. So the brain does it as a survival mechanism. Hey, remember, this one thing happened. It also had this in it. You don't want this to happen again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a fucking post-traumatic stress. It's called your brain working properly. But some guys that have got involved in some things that pulled some triggers, maybe they thought they shouldn't have, or they shouldn't have, or had some bad shoots and stuff like that, and are living with shame and guilt. It's not PTSD, that's shame and guilt. And sometimes you deserve that, sometimes you don't, depending on the situation and what happened. An accident, I feel guilty about. PTSD, guilt. Shame is, I knew it was wrong and fucking did it. And now I wish, hindsight being 2020, I had never done it. I'll live with that for the rest of my life. So I think a lot of people confuse shame and guilt with PTSD. And they go and they get these treatments and it helps them deal with some of those major issues. They accept that what they did or what happened was either their fault or not their fault. Or the memories that they do have, I hope it helps them cope with the realities of, yeah, you did these things, but it's normal. you remember them, and it's normal that you feel the way you do, and kind of puts them at peace with the decisions that have been made. And from my experience of talking to the buddies of mine that have done it, there's been a serious calming effect to the individuals. I was telling you guys earlier, one of my good friends who has multiple deployments, 9 successful, was just a straight fucking killer. Like, when I say killer, like righteous killer, like for the right reasons, but like dude was just a war fighter, and has done the treatments a handful of times, and he's still him, but he's very at peace. Not the same guy now that he was. Do I hope to experience something like that? Not really. But I don't know. I think it'd be from I don't know much about it. This is the first time I've entertained it. See what happens. But from what I understand, it's just it almost puts you in a third person perspective of your life and the things that you've done, and curious to see if that happens for me. I'm able to kind of look at the experiences I've had and decisions I've made, and from a
bird's eye view, and understand why things went the way they did, or I made whatever decisions I made, and then walk away from it just to it. Yeah, man. We'd have to have you back on,
Afterwards,
and get your recap your experience.
Yeah, I'll definitely. So I'm a firm believer in, and I don't mind saying this on the air to anybody, because this is something I can't stand people who open their mouth and talk about things that they've never fucking done. You don't have any credibility if you never experienced it. And just like drugs, and I tell people all the time, and some people take this out of context, I don't care, but throughout my life, prior to getting into the worlds where I wasn't able to do these things as a teenager, and then even some things post my time in, if you could, outside of injectable type stuff, I've tried most of it.
Yeah.
Why? Because I don't believe in addiction either. Addiction's a mindset. It's a mentality. Like, if you can quit cigarettes like that if you really want. It's a fucking mindset. The physical ramifications and the withdrawals from stuff like that are very minimal. And a lot of it, I think, is also mental as well. So I don't believe in addiction. I don't believe in any drug that, like, oh no, once you try it, you'll never stop thinking about it and bullshit. So that's why I tried them all, because I wanted to have the credibility to say you're fucking full of shit. Like, there's nothing out there that's so great to say I'm not going to do that anymore. Period. So the reason why I want to try the psychedelics is because be able to say,
yeah, it worked, it doesn't work,
or it doesn't work. So if I go do it and then you guys have me back on, I will tell you, like, in my case, it was horse shit. Didn't do anything for me.
Yeah. Or you come back,
or I'll come back and be like, wow, it was
life-changing
it was something, because I don't know, so I can't credibly speak on it, and I won't pretend to be able to speak on it. That's why another reason why I hate. I'm just going to use coke. Everybody knows what cocaine is. Like,
right.
Oh God, cocaine addicts this, and then the doctors are saying this, and the therapists are saying this, and you ask them, have you ever done cocaine? Well, no.
Right.
So you don't know you have everything you're saying is wet monkey theory. You guys know what the fuck wet monkey theory is? Google. You guys watch. Google wet monkey theory. Wet monkey theory is they took and I'll purpose behind this is because you've never experienced the negative or positive effects of something, yet you speak like you know what the fuck you're talking about because of something somebody else told you. But you've never actually experienced or done it yourself, but you act like you're a fucking expert. Never done cocaine? Why the fuck are you talking about cocaine? You have no clue what it does to you. You've been told what it does. You think you know what it does, but you have no fucking clue. You've never done it. Wet monkey theory is they took a group of monkeys. This was a real study. This was I think Stanford. Stanford does all the cool ones.
Yeah.
Put them in prison and beat up inmates and shit.
Yeah, what the fuck was that one that they did all those years ago?
The jail cell. Yeah, where they made the inmates and, and they ended up almost damn killing one of them or something and had to stop it.
Yeah.
Because they were crazy. But
all for science.
Yeah, all for science. Human psychology is crazy. But the wet monkey theory is they had, 10 monkeys or a dozen monkeys, however many monkeys it was. They put them in a controlled cell that was observed 24 hours a day. They had a ladder in the middle of it and a bundle of bananas on top of the ladder. Well, first 12 monkeys, none of them, they were all brand new. This is the first time they'd been in this environment. anytime a monkey go to climb to get the bananas, they would take a fire hose and they would hose down all of the other monkeys below them, punish them, get the bananas. And they did this repetitively over and over and over again until the monkeys internally stop whatever monkey tried to climb the ladder to get the bananas, because they knew if anybody grabbed the bananas, every monkey was going to get hammered with high pressure water and blown all over the place. So it took several times, dozens of times, whatever, until these monkeys realized, like, fuck, anybody gets on that ladder, we're all getting hammered. So a lot of this is military for training, mass punishment shit. Something stupid, I'm push them, and you're going to sit there and eat pizza.
Yeah,
that kind of shit.
I've done that with my baseball team.
Yeah, so then I'm gonna let your group punish you when it's over. You're gonna sit there and enjoy your pizza while they get fucking. So eventually, the monkeys get to a point where if any monkey touches that ladder, they beat its ass. Well, then eventually monkeys hang out. None of them go after bananas. And there's fresh bananas up there every fucking day. None of them go after. So then they remove a single monkey and they bring in a monkey who has no idea what's going on. What's the new monkey do?
He's going to get those bananas. Oh shit, there's bananas up there.
He goes to the ladder. The other monkeys attack it. Beat the fuck out of it. Jack it up. No idea why. Just does it. They know what's going to happen if he gets up to the banana.
But he has no idea.
He has no idea. But he quickly learns, if I touch that fucking ladder, I get my ass beat. They slowly rotate every single original monkey out of the cage to where it gets to a point to where not a single monkey has ever been hit with a high pressure hose.
Really?
Yet, every time they introduce a new monkey goes to get the bananas, they beat the fuck out of that monkey. Having no idea why they're doing it. They're just doing it.
That's what everybody's
because
doing.
That's what everybody's always done, is beat the fuck out of anybody who touched the ladder.
Wow.
That is a wild story.
That's
wild.
It's a true study.
Yeah, study.
Like, look it up. It's legit. And it's a direct representation of the baseline human psychology and brain function, period. Because the majority of people are inside the box thinkers and adaptive followers, period. Just the way they are. That's why outside the box thinking is very frowned upon in the conventional military. Whereas in soft units, it's the opposite. Outside the box independent thinkers, not fucking followers. Not. I want you to say, why the fuck are we not eating bananas?
Yeah.
And then if you say, I don't know.
How do we get up there and not touch that ladder?
And then if you say, and then if you say, well, what do you mean you don't fucking know? So we're just mindlessly beating your ass. Like, I want a guy who's going to say, that makes no sense to me. Let's figure this out versus this is just what we've always done.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyways, when it comes to the drugs, that's what those people that consider themselves experts that have never personally experienced any of the things that they consider themselves experts on. How the fuck are you an expert on something you've never ever done, tried, or experienced?
Right.
I'm not going to tell you what it's like to win a gold medal at the Olympics, what it takes to win a gold medal at the Olympics. You know why? Because I never won a fucking gold medal at the Olympics. So who am I to tell you how to win a gold medal at the Olympics? I don't know. I can tell you how to fight with a gun. I have the credibility to tell you how to fight with a gun.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how to build a skyscraper.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That is. Well, Keith, this has been awesome having you in here, man. We really appreciate your time, and it's great getting to know you here. But we end the show the same way every time. So before we get you out of here,
We play a little game called the Tombstone Game. Here lies Keith. What's it say on your tombstone?
What's it say on my tombstone? He likes to party.
Hey, that's good enough for me.
That works.
Have you ever seen the movie Hot Rod?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's great. No, I like to party.
Yeah. That's actually, I know this is the clothing stuff, but like when I went to Wash U and we were doing the initial introductions, day one of the course, they're like, I'm John from Boeing. I'm the chief operating officer from Boeing, blah, blah, blah. They come around the whole room. This is my very first stand up and talk to everybody at Wash U. They came to me, and because Hot Rod is my favorite comedy.
I love that movie.
As soon as they got to me, I'm like, my name's Keith and I like to party. and like, because you guys have been to Wash U, you know the environment.
Right.
Uh-huh.
People like froze and then erupted because they couldn't believe that just occurred. So yeah, that's what's on my tombstone. Yeah.
Okay.
I like to party. I love
Yeah.
it. Well, thank you again for your time, and thanks to everybody that tuned into the show, whether you watched or listened to it. If you could, please hit that subscribe button for us. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers on YouTube before the end of 2025. So help us hit that goal and hit that subscribe button for us. Hit that like button as well. Comment what you thought below, and we will see you next time.